iFILM, London. iFILM, London.
Gives it away. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about the delay. As it turns out, the McIntosh team can't make it this afternoon because they've been stuck with some traffic delays coming up from Norwich to Danny. So what we're going to do, rather than hang on, Dominic's on his way to Liverpool anyway for some sparring, rather than hanging on and keeping you waiting even longer and wasting your day, we're just going to crack on ourselves. Obviously it's a bit disappointing, but you know, Danny's coming all the way from Norwich. These things happen. Bad weather, bad traffic, you know, things happen. I'd like to thank you all for turning out today. Some of you have come from a long way. We've got Sky Sports here as well. Eddie Hearn's come all the way. Tony and Mick McCarthy have turned up as well. So I'd like to firstly just pass you on to Eddie Hearn, who's come on board with this for me, enabled us to get it onto television, onto Sky Sports. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with Eddie and his matchroom team. Eddie, do you have a few words?
Yeah, thanks Dave. Very disappointing Danny's not with us today. I know that he's cited traffic problems. I actually come up from Essex, which is not too far, so I think he doesn't really understand the size of this fight and the involvement with someone like Sky Sports. From my point of view, very disrespectful from his camp and his behalf. I know that Tony's got his own opinions of why Danny's not here, which we'll hear later. Make no mistakes, he'll be there on the night. He needs this fight, he needs the shot. There's a lot of money involved for Danny McIntosh in this fight, so we're really looking forward to it. It's a pleasure working with Dave Caldwell. I know that promoters don't tend to work with each other that much. Dave's someone I respect. He's got the same kind of passion and vision for the sport that we have in terms of making great fights, and this is a great fight, McIntosh versus Bellew. Tony's someone I've got a lot of respect for. Again, he's not someone that's in the matchroom team, but you know, I respect all fighters, and I had the fighters that I rate very highly, and Tony, in my opinion, is one of those. You know, in my opinion, he's the best light heavyweight in Britain. I believe he beat Nathan cleverly in that fight. I know you could have scored it either way, but as far as I'm concerned, you know, he's a great fighter, he's entertaining. He's a great personality and a great character, and that's something that I think that's lacking in boxing these days. You know, you need big characters and big personalities to draw the fans into arenas, and Tony Bellew's got that. He's a very likeable guy, and he's a great fighter, and it's been a pleasure working with Tony and his team, Mark. You know, they tell me today that he's on the weight already, and he's been eating 6 meals a day, and he could even make super middleweight. So I know people keep asking Carl Froch to step up to light heavyweight to fight Nathan cleverly, but maybe Tony Bellew can step down to super middleweight and fight Carl Froch for the world title once he beats Lewis and Butte, so you never know. So appreciate you coming out today. It's a great bill on Friday at Echo Arena, so make sure you come down. Dave Caldwell's put on some great fights, I think there's 11 in total. And also don't miss, we've got the big darts event tomorrow night at the Echo Arena, Premier League darts. We've got 8,000 packed in there. Thanks again to Liverpool for their support for that. And Tony Bellew and Danny McIntosh, even if we have to drag him by his ear rolls, will be walking out in front of those 8,000 people for the final face-off tomorrow night at the darts after the weigh-in. So that's going to be an interesting moment, and I'll ask the people of Liverpool to give Danny McIntosh an interesting reception at the Echo Arena tomorrow night, because I'm sure he's going to get another one on Friday. But this is a great fight, a former European champion against a former world title challenger and future world title challenger. I respect Tony Bellew for taking this fight. It's his mandatory fight for the title, and he didn't have to take it because, in my opinion, he's beyond the domestic level now, but he wanted the fight, he's taken the fight, and I think you're going to get fireworks on the night. So thanks for your turnout, and over to Tony to say a few words.
Thanks for coming. It's a shame Danny's shown total disrespect by being late. You know, it's pathetic. He knew what time to be here. He's known all week. So, you know, as you've seen, I've just replaced him with his nickname, and you know, I don't really eat big match, but I'm going to eat one on Friday night. Literally, I'm going to pick him up, stick him in my mouth, chew him up and spit him right back out because he's into the job of his life. I swear to God, he doesn't understand, but listen, it is what it is. Danny's just playing games. Make no mistake, Danny will be there Friday night because all that Danny cares about is the cheque, and he ain't getting his cheque if he doesn't turn up, so he will be there. I can absolutely guarantee that. There's nothing I can say or do. I'm in great shape. I know all fighters say that before each fight, it's like a cliche, but with each fight, that title fight that I've had, I've done the weight easier, I've learned from each mistake that I've made in the past, and I've come on, so you know, I'm just looking forward to getting back in the ring and dying to know who's on Jazz's phone, to be honest. No, I'm looking forward to getting back in the ring, I really am. It feels like it's been forever, and to be honest, I feel like I've been punished for the great display last time. I've been left out, I've been left to rot a little bit, and you know, people are getting dates announced, fights here and there, and I feel like I'm the one who performs and I've just been left. So you know, I'll go out there and make a statement on Friday night, and I can't thank Dave and Eddie enough for coming together. You know, these two are like really pushing now towards the future of boxing and making big fights happen, and you know, it's great to be working with them. Like I've said, promoters should be working together to make the best fights happen, and Dave and Eddie coming together proves that, you know, they want to push the sport on, and it's great for the sport, in my opinion. It needs to happen more often.
I think also it's great for Tony to be back on Sky Sports. Obviously, we know that his last fight was on Box Nation. It wasn't seen by enough people, in my opinion, because it was a great fight, and I think that you know, that would have done wonders for his profile to be in a position where that fight was actually on Sky Sports. But again, this fight is on Sky Sports. It'll be in front of a huge audience because Tony does come on big viewing figures, and I think you need that to progress as a fighter and to progress from an image perspective and a profile perspective. So I know that the people at Sky Sports, Adam Smith and Barney Francis, are delighted to have Tony back on Sky Sports, and he's looking to do the business in front of a big audience on Friday night.
I think from my point of view, when I saw all the persons that were put out by the board, this was a fight that stood out and made me sit up and take notice and think, you know, this is the fight that I want. I've been up to Liverpool before. I've put on shows for Haymaker in Liverpool. I've been to a lot of shows. I watched Derek, Tony, you know, Price, everybody up in Liverpool. You know, I like Liverpool as a city. I think it's a fighting city, and I think, you know, to put on an event at the Echo Arena for myself, obviously bringing Eddie on board, but for myself, speaking for co-op boxing, I think, you know, it was quite a major coup for us winning the purse bid. This fight for me, I think, you know, regardless of McIntosh not turning up today, once the bell goes, trust me, I know that kind of style, I know that sort of person because I grew up in the Ingle gym. Even when they're scared, they let their hands go and he's swinging his bombs, trying to take Tony out, and you know, it'll be interesting, it'll be exciting. You know, Tony's got the bombs himself. I can't see the fight going the distance myself, which is why I think we're putting a couple of good, really good 50-50 fights on the undercard. Fight that I'm really looking forward to is a kid called Mike Clarkson. He's fighting Jeff Evans, who fought also in the prize fighter, and he fought for the Commonwealth title. That's a good 50-50 contest. You've got local boy John Watson. His original opponent Jason Cook pulled out this week, unfortunately through some personal problems. So we've drafted in a good replacement, Darren Hamilton, who's from Spencer Fearon's Hard Knocks gym. So he'll be coming up with Spencer and all his mouth and all his razzmatazz. So you know he's coming up to win. Hamilton's on the verge of a British title eliminator himself, so whoever wins this fight can look forward to fighting for the domestic 10-stone title. Also, we've got a host of Liverpool fighters. You've got your Stephen Jennings, you've got Nick Quigley's, we've got Andy Calhoun, what's we got off the top of my head? We've got Nathan Bruff making his comeback, which I know a lot of people in Liverpool rate Nathan. You know, he's a very talented kid. Unfortunately, he's had quite a bit of hand problems in the past, but hopefully that's all behind him now, and he's going to look to put on a good performance. So we've got a stacked undercard. Like Eddie said, we've got 11 fights on there. The first fight will be 7:30 prompt. So we're looking for a good turnout and some good fights on the bill. If there's any questions anyone wants to ask, off you go.
You said that you have your own opinions on why McIntosh is in the air. Think he's playing mind games or?
Yeah, he's just basically acting the arse. He knows what he's doing. He thinks these kind of mind games he probably doesn't want to come to Liverpool, to be honest. To be totally, he probably doesn't want to stay here tonight. He probably wants to come down here tomorrow because he's going to be in hot baths all night. That's how he gets his weight off. I know what he does and how he does it because I make it my business to know how he prepares for fights. And it's the same with a lot of England fighters. He'll be in hot baths tonight, shedding about 4 or 5 pounds, whereas I'm sitting here on the weight having a protein shake. So, everyone's got their own way of doing things, but I know their way of doing things and I know his way of doing things. And like I say, he can get his hot baths in Sheffield, but as long as he turns up here tomorrow, I'm not too interested, to be honest. I'm past caring about Danny McIntosh. All I care about is my performance and looking good in this fight, because make no mistake, I have to look good in this fight. I win on points or getting by is not enough. I have to smash Danny McIntosh, hurt him and get rid of him and do something to him that nobody else has done. And to be totally honest, I want to render him unconscious. I can't wait to get in the ring with him.
Off the back of a very impressive fight, he created cleverly. What are you expecting stylistically from McIntosh?
Danny poses all kinds of different problems. He's a bigger puncher than Cleverly. He comes from, not normal angles. He throws, punches from where you're not going to see them out of the line of vision. He's dangerous as long as he's on his feet. He can punch. You make no mistake about that. And for me, he's drinking in last chance saloon bar. So, I've got to be really careful about how I approach the fight. I think he's going to be live for the first few rounds. But then I think once I start touching him, basically he's not going to know what's hit him. And he's never been in with someone who can really punch. And when I hit him with a pair of 10-ounce grants on, he's going to know he's been hit. He really is, and he's in for a nasty shot. I expect, listen, he's had 12 weeks. He's had the best amount of time he's ever had to prepare. Dave let him know even before we announced the fight, so he's known for a long time he's been in this fight, and he's been a kind of monkey on my back for me, because he hasn't stopped going on that he can beat me, he can do this. But the matter of the fact is, he should have fought me 2 years ago when I wanted the fight. And there's a reporter there who interviewed him after his biggest win against Tony Bellew, and he was basically saying he didn't want to fight me then because I beat his mate in the amateurs, Sam Sexton. So I believe that I'm already in Danny's head, and I believe that he knows what's coming on Friday night, but he will still turn up. I know he'll turn up because all he's about, like I said before, is his check. But the main thing is he might leave with a good check, but he's going to leave with a smashed in face too.
Mick, have you done anything different with Tony this time to how you prepared him cleverly?
We're just looking for improvements with every fight, and the amount of time that we've had him, you can see the last 2 fights that he's improved, and we're looking to prove that he belongs at world-class level.
They have done something different. They've ripped the hoop out of me literally for the last 12 months. Listen, Phil Kirk, when I come in the gym, he said I'd never seen nothing like that in my life, and that was an easy day. So listen, we work. Like I always say, it's not the fights that hurt me. It's really not. I love fights. I get excited by the thought of going to the arena. I love driving in, seeing the lights and thinking I'm going in there and I'm going to cause mayhem when I get in there. And I get off on that. That's a buzz. It's not a buzz going 10 weeks before the fight and I'm going into a gym knowing what's coming for the next 10 or 12 weeks. It's not a buzz getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning on a track with me coach thinking that he's in a rave, blowing a whistle that many times and I've got to sprint. They're not the good, they're the horrible, hard parts of camp, and it's not fights that hurt me, it's camps, and I don't know how I'll get through them, but I do, and without the team that I have in place, without Mick, without Mark, without Gary, without my dad around me and my family, I wouldn't get through, I really wouldn't, but it's a testament to them and me that they put up with my moods and the way I am, that I get through the camp and that I'm in the shape that I'm in come fight night, because make no mistake about it, he does not do what I do, I know that for a fact. Danny goes home to Norwich, Danny lives in Sheffield 4 or 5 days a week, he goes home and does what he wants to do there. I live in the gym and I turn up at the gym when they tell me. I'm lucky if I get 1 day off a week. And like I say, I can't emphasise how much work I do in that gym, and it's not a coincidence how much I've improved over the since I've come away from Manchester. It's not a coincidence, it's down to my team and my coaches, it really is, and for that I'll be forever grateful. I'm forever in their debt. The team that I have around me is just phenomenal, and without them I'd just be Peter Buckley #2, I really believe that.
No disrespect to Peter Buckley.
No disrespect, he's a legend, by the way. And can I also say it's great to be back on Sky. Listen, I started out on Sky, and to be back on here is just a dream come true. You know, you see the viewing figures for themselves, your profile. More than anything in boxing, you need a profile. If you can fight, that's great, but if you haven't got a profile, no one's going to know you are. There's some great fighters out there dying through inactivity, and I felt like I've been one for the last 6 months. As I said, come off the best performance of my career. Won, I still think I won. Okay, I didn't get it. Some people say could have went either way, some people had a draw. I don't think I lost, and to me, he doesn't want to fight me against. That says enough from where I'm coming from. He basically said no in every interview he's had, every kind of thing he said no. So for me, that says enough for me. I just want to move on and get Danny out the way and become a European champion or a world champion. That's all I want to do, and fulfill my ambitions.
You're saying there clearly you didn't want to fight. He said it in interviews. What other paths can you take towards like world titles?
I'd jump at towards Cloud tomorrow. I'd jump at David Shumanov. They're a bit more raw. Listen, I'll be honest, I wouldn't jump at a fight with Chad Dawson tomorrow. I think he's going to beat Hopkins on the weekend. It's not a fight that I'd do, but if they come to me and say that's all that's available, I'll do it, and I'm confident that I can beat any light heavyweight in the world. But you know, I'm not stupid. Maybe a few more fights and then I'm at elite level or world level, but for now I'd look at the weaker world champions. I went in with the weakest world champion, who was Nathan Cleverly. I thought I won. I believe he is still the weakest world champion in my division. Shumanov, I believe, is the next one in line, only because of, you know, his experience. He's only had 12 fights and he's a world champion, and he's very inexperienced. Then you've got Tavoris Cloud, who's just scraped through, you know, against Gabriel Campillo. He's short at the weight. I think he's 5'11", and he just comes to have a scrap, so that would suit me down to the ground. And then you'd have your elite level guys, you know, your Pascals, your Hopkins and your Dawsons. So there is fights out there, but and I'll fight anybody, I really would. I mean, if this fight weren't taking place, I really believe I'd have been fighting someone on the lines of an Edison Miranda, a Gabriel Campillo, or a Caro Morat. That they're the fights I want. So we get Danny out the way, and it's either Edouard Guznek, a European champion, or one of the names I've mentioned. Four of the names I've mentioned. What I don't want to do is start fighting carpet fitters and fighting plumbers, because, you know, when you look at the likes of Tommy Karpinski, number 83 and ranked in the world, then that's what he's doing. If I'm being totally honest, he's not boxing for a full-time job. Any man who goes back to a corner and starts saying, I'm tired after 3 rounds, I want to get out, needs help, and shouldn't be in a boxing ring. And if you've seen that fight, he went back to a corner and said, I want to get out, I'm tired. It just says it all. And then you go match him with some other unknown. It's daft. So I believe I'm coming off a world title fight, and I'm the one who's going in with the tougher an opponent than the world champion is. So that speaks for itself for me.
Any other questions? Okay. We're going to...
I'd just like to say, before it finishes out, well, Derry done on Saturday night.
Yeah.
He done absolutely fantastic, and I'm really made up for him. I'm friends with him and Crowley, and I've trained with Crowley for 2 years, and I know how much of a lovely kid he is and how much of a fantastic athlete he is, but people wrote Derry off from the very start, and you know, it's unbelievable where he's going. It really is, and I'm so happy for him. He's in charge of his own career. And you know, he's got the British title, and you know, the likes of myself, Pricey, you've got loads of upcoming talent, Joe Selkirk at the back, little Jazza Dickens here. We just hope for more Scouse British champions, because Scouse boxing's on the route. Eddie needs to sign a whole lot of them. With Dave as well.
No, just echoing what Tony said there. I mean, I've known Derek for a number of years. I mean, I signed him for Hearn. So I got to know him pretty well, and you know, become good friends with him there. So like Tony, I'm friends with Crawler as well. So you know, it was one of those fights where I just went as a fan, and I was sat inside as a fan, and I've got to say, I've been to a lot of fights. Of all the fights I've been to, it was very hard to find a fight that was any better than that one. All the times that I've been in boxing, 21 years, you know, it was some fight. Some fight. So, we're going to break the one-on-ones. Before we break, I'd just like to say a big thanks to Eddie Hearn for coming on board with Matchroom, working with myself, giving myself an opportunity. There's a lot of promoters that won't want to do that, and just want to keep all the fights themselves. But you know, Eddie's come on board, and it's been a delight to work with the whole matchroom team. Good people, straight people, and without doubt the best people I've worked with in the business. So yeah, I'd just like to say thanks a lot, and I'm looking forward to Friday night, which will be certainly the biggest night of my career, and I'm looking forward to an explosive night in Tony Bellew's career as well. Thanks a lot. We'll take the one-on-ones now. Cheers.
iFILM, London. iFILM, London. iFILM.